Need something to make Raft a little bit harder? Hi friends, and welcome back to Raft. We're back with another mod showcase, and today we're focusing on mods that change the difficulty of attempting to survive in this flooded world. Some of them make it easier to live, but a lot of these mods are designed to hike up the difficulty. So for anyone out there complaining about hard difficulty not being hard enough, here you go. I am willing to bet that there is something in here that will be enough of a challenge for you. As always, all of the mod links are down in the description, so be sure to check out any and all of these that caught your eye. But without further ado, let's dive into the difficulty mod showcase. I promised that some of these mods would make life easier for those who just want to relax and play Raft, so let's start with some of those. A lot of these kinds of mods are double-edged swords where you can either make your playthrough a lot easier or significantly harder. Chief among those is the Configurable Damage mod. This mod does pretty much exactly what you'd expect from a mod called Configurable Damage, that you can configure your damage. This is done through a multiplier slider in the mod settings using the Extra Settings API. From here, you can set how much you want to multiply your base damage by. If you want things to be a lot easier, you can multiply your damage by up to 20 times the original weapon damage. For instance, if you wanted to kill Mama Bear with a wooden spear in the base game, it would take 150 stabs. With the 20 times damage multiplier, it only takes 8 stabs. If you want to be really OP, you can take down Mama Bear in 3 hits using a machete. Or you can just dome some sharks to your heart's content. However, if you want to take this mod in the other direction, you can set your weapons to do half of their normal damage. So have fun battling a normal bear with a wooden spear and landing 40 stabs without dying. Of course, there are plenty of settings in between these two, but the extremes are always more fun. If you like the sliding difficulty of the Configurable Damage mod, then the Stats Modifier mod will probably work well for you too. In case keeping up with your food and water stat was too annoying, you can set them to decay much slower than they typically do. Interestingly, if you set your modifier to a negative number, up to -10, it'll actually regenerate hunger and thirst, so you don't need to manage them at all. This frees up more time to explore islands or build your fancy raft. If you want it to just truly be modified, I'd recommend playing on a setting like 0.7 or 0.5 to lower it a tiny bit. But on the other hand, you could make this whole thing a whole lot more unpleasant for yourself and just make your stats deplete like you're playing on fast forward mode in The Sims. Setting the slider up at 10 makes your food and water diminish slightly slower than you can keep them up, so good luck trying to manage this one. Again, of course, there are more moderate settings and reasonable settings, but bumping it all the way up to 10 is the ultimate challenge. Speaking of reasonable changes, the Raft is not shark food mod is definitely geared towards players who don't want to play in peaceful, but are tired of Jeremiah destroying all of their hard work. This mod is really simple, and it also does exactly what the title implies. The shark simply will not attack your raft. You, however, are still fair game, so be careful when entering the water. Another quick mod that can drastically change the difficulty is the Stop Hooks mod. You get exactly one hook, the one that you started with. You can't craft another one, so use it wisely. If you play it smart, you can get yourself enough materials to build the antenna and receiver, so this doesn't make it impossible to progress, it just means that you're gonna need some good decision making. But don't worry, you're not limited to one hook in the entirety of your world. A few kinds of loot boxes scattered around the Raft world have a very low chance to give the player a scrap hook. These boxes on large islands have a 0.5% chance of giving a scrap hook. Metal toolboxes, like the one on the cruise ship, have a 1% chance of dropping a scrap hook, and the small tool packages from Caravan Town and Tangaroa each have a 2.1% chance of finding a hook. So once that first hook breaks out, you'll either need to grind a ton of large islands, or press your luck with story locations. Again, it's not impossible, it's just very difficult. The next difficulty mod is where we really start to kick things up a notch. The Nightmare difficulty mod is just that. It makes trying to survive a nightmare. Typically, it takes Jeremiah between 4 and 5 bites to take down a full health player. With this mod, it's literally just 2 bites. The damage of other wildlife has also been scaled up, making it quite difficult to survive exploring large islands without dying. This mod is specifically designed to be used in hard mode for maximum effect, meaning you could have up to 5 sharks in the water, each one taking half of your health when you get bit. Thankfully, the mod author was kind and scaled up the defense stats of your armor, so you do have the option to protect yourself. If you can make it that far, that is. The author also recommends using this mod in combinations with others, like Arashi's Fishing expansion, to make food gathering a bit easier, or with the Augmented Items mod to ease the grind for basic resources. I've covered both of those mods in previous showcases, so check out those videos if you want a more detailed account of either of the recommendation companion mods. But in case Nightmare difficulty alone isn't enough, the mod author also recommends pairing it with the Random Animal Spawn mod to jack up the difficulty even more. This mod makes large islands even more impossible by randomizing the kinds of animals that you can find. Basically, it replaces entities that normally spawn on islands, including things like flowers and fruits, and can turn them into enemies that will make harvesting any resources from large islands nearly impossible without some serious skill. This mod also scales with game difficulty, so less animals will spawn on a large island in easy mode than the amount that will spawn in hard mode. But if you wanted the chance to encounter a bear wherever you went instead of just at Balboa, you have that option with this mod. And we'll take it just one level higher. The DShark mod dynamically spawns more sharks whenever one lands a successful bite. You can configure just how frequent you want this to be, so you can guarantee that a shark will always spawn when bit, and you could also make it a 1% chance, just so you never know what's coming. Then every time you're bit, basically the game rolls a dice to see if the shark spawn was successful, leaving you with potentially a school of sharks to deal with. Of course, there's also an option to put sharks spawn on cooldown, so you don't crash your game world. However, it is important to note that every shark that bites will get its own dice roll, so you can be spawning in tens of sharks every time you enter the water. I did a speedrun of Raft where I guaranteed a shark spawn with every bite, and trust me, it did not go according to plan. And that was an easy mode. I can't imagine how much more difficult this would be in hard mode, let alone nightmare mode. I don't think I could even get past the first island, honestly. But that's it for the difficulty mod showcase. If you wanted to make Raft a bit more challenging of a survival situation, then these mods can definitely up the ante for you. But plenty of them can also tone it down for a more chill world. I love having the ability to balance my world to whatever I'm feeling at the moment, and it's always good to have more options while we wait on new official content from the developers. Let me know how your worlds go if you decide to try any of these mods, and I especially want to know if anyone manages to beat Raft in Nightmare mode with random animals and DShark, because that seems flat out impossible. Again, all of the mods are linked down in the description if you do want to try them for yourself, which I highly recommend you do. Let me know which mods are your favorite, and if there are any others you think would fit well in the showcase. But that's it for me for now. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like if you did, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. It really helps me out. I hope to see you all again soon, but until then, have a great day.